And a CrowLine. And here's your host, Tyler Garrett.
We may not be LSU or Alabama, but we ain't Clemson.
11 wins is for every Gamecock, always.
Welcome into the Carolina CrowLine. I'm your host, Tyler Garrett. Glad to be with you on another jam-packed edition of the program. Exciting series. Gamecocks take 2 of 3 from the Clemson Tigers. We'll have your complete baseball series wrap up and hear a little bit of the Chad Holbrook post-game press conference from Sunday's win 8-0 as Nolan Belcher pitches that complete game shutout. Carolina basketball still struggling on the hardwood. The losing streak has been extended to 3 in a row. The season ends this week. You'll hear a little bit from Coach Frank Martin after that disappointing loss to Texas A&M. And spring practice starts Tuesday. The spring depth chart has been released. You'll hear about the battles up front and on the defense as well. Stick with us right here on the Carolina CrowLine.
If you depend on prescription opioid painkillers or heroin to get through each day, you may ask yourself, how did I get here? Withdrawal and rehab seem like scary and difficult roads, but there is a different way. I know because I was just like you and I found it at turntohelpnow.com. At turntohelpnow.com, I learned about different ways to get help, including those in a private setting without the need for daily visits. Find your courage and go to turntohelpnow.com today.
That's the sound of Selsun Science wiping out dandruff. Introducing Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Feel it get to the root of dandruff and gently whisk scalp irritation away with soothing vitamins B5, E, and essential oils. Now when you style your hair, it feels oh so good to the touch. New Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Science for your scalp. Use as directed.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
The Southeastern Conference has established the most outstanding college football tradition in the country. The 14-member institutions have combined for an unprecedented 459 bowl appearances. Key to the success of SEC football is support of the many loyal fans who have helped the conference lead the nation in total attendance for 29 consecutive years. The SEC salutes the more than 6.5 million fans who will attend a game at an SEC stadium this year.
Welcome into the Carolina CrowLine. We are just getting the show kicked off officially here after that first quick commercial break. The number to call, 803-450-0086. Again, that's 803-450-0086 if you want to go ahead and jump on the Carolina CrowLine and talk about anything related to South Carolina Gamecock sports. If you don't feel like calling us, you can follow us, our live webcast on Spreecast.com. Spreecast.com. We are coming to you live via the internet right now on Spreecast.com on Monday evenings. If you can't go ahead and get on Spreecast.com, of course, you can always check in your local South Carolina radio market for the Carolina CrowLine. Follow us on Facebook. like us on Facebook, I suppose I should say. That's the proper verbiage. And follow us on Twitter at Carolina CrowLine, hashtag CrowLIN, CrowLIN. You can, of course, always download our edition of the program on iTunes as a podcast for free, so you can take it with you when you're jogging around the block or when the wife just won't leave you alone and you're out there completing the honeydew list in the yard. Of course, you can check all of our webcasts out on YouTube as well. You can go back in and pick up any of the past editions of the Carolina CrowLine. Of course, as well, you can email us, carolina@y'all.com, carolina@y'all.com. That's YALL.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for your updates of what's going on with Carolina sports around the week. Of course, this past weekend, if you are a South Carolina Gamecock fan, and if you are a Clemson fan for that matter, you know exactly what was going on, and that was the 3-game tilt. Clemson Tigers versus the South Carolina Gamecocks. Game 1 up there in Tiger Town at Doug Kingsmore Stadium. Then they took it to Floor Field in Greenville for a Saturday tilt, and then back home at the Ray for the Game 3 in Columbia. South Carolina able to get one in the enemy territory. 6-4. 6-4 was the score there, and then, 6-zip was the score there. I don't even know what I'm looking at. 6-zip was the score there, and then South Carolina falls, gets one. Clemson gets one back on Saturday, and then Sunday, South Carolina all over the Clemson Tigers, 8-0 there. Of course, Jordan Montgomery, your Friday starter, pitched another stellar outing for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Jordan Montgomery, if I can spit it out, had another great game, another shutout performance. Of course, I think the story on the weekend overall, number one, is the pitching for South Carolina. Colby Holmes, again, seems to get touched up on the road. 4 2/3 inning, 8 hits, 5 runs earned, 3 strikeouts, only 22 batters faced. And then Adam Westmoreland comes in, the local Brooklyn Casey product here, 4 1/3 innings, only giving up 3 hits, 1 unearned run, striking out 7 in 4 1/3, only facing 16 batters. An extremely strong performance from a guy who's had a lot of injury problems coming off of Tommy John surgery, was looking for a role on the pitching staff last season, never really quite seemed to find it. But with a showing like that, definitely putting his name out there as somebody that's going to be earning more time. If he can continue, I think, appearing in that relief setup, he looks like he may be kind of that middle relief guy that we've been looking for since Tyler Webb has been shifted to that closer's role. Tyler Webb, for all intents and purposes, as well as he is pitched, I just do not see him coming out of that closer's role. And then Sunday, another senior that's been riddled with injuries, Nolan Belcher, comes in and throws a complete game shutout, blanking the Tigers. 9 innings, of course, only 3 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. So Nolan Belcher, a lot of people have been cautious about what he's been able to bring to the mound. Chad Holbrook named Nolan Belcher the Sunday starter immediately before the season started. A lot of people questioned that decision. A lot of people kind of clamoring for Jack Wynkoop, the highly touted freshman, to come in and be that Sunday starter. By the way, Jack Wynkoop will be the starting pitcher when South Carolina takes on Ball State on Tuesday. So you can see what that standout freshman is capable of. But Nolan Belcher, with performances like he's had so far this year, there is no doubt that he is firmly entrenched in that Sunday starting rotation. South Carolina needs to kind of look for Colby Holmes to kind of settle in. Colby Holmes has had rough outings in the past, but then he just kind of seems to come up with a month and a half of just these stellar pitching performances. So Colby Holmes is no stranger to getting touched up early and often. He's not really a guy who's going to allow the long ball, just this base hit there, base hit there, base hit there, giving up those strings of hits. And Clemson, was able to string together some hits and be successful out there on Floor Field. I think those are the main, coming off the weekend, those were the main pitching performances. Nolan Belcher really stands out as his performance on Sunday, a guy who's not going to overpower you, doesn't have that strong fastball, isn't that big, tall, overpowering lefty like a Tyler Webb or an Adam Westmoreland. So Jordan Montgomery continuing to do what he does. Nolan Belcher, pleasant surprise. I think it's definitely fair to put him in that category. Adam Westmoreland, again, another pleasant surprise to put him in that category. If he can continue to come in and be that strong middle reliever, I think the Gamecocks are looking strong so far. Only dropped that one game, one to Liberty, one to Clemson. So the Gamecocks have faced some stout competition so far. 8-2 on the season, 2 of 3 from Liberty, 2 of 3 from Clemson. And those midweek games against Furman there. But overall, the Great Danes up there from New York. But South Carolina strong, moving up in the top 25 a notch. When you look at the top 25, dominated by teams from the South. You take a look, North Carolina, number 1, Vanderbilt 2, Mississippi State 3, Louisville 5, South Carolina 6, Ole Miss 7, LSU 8, North Carolina State 9, Kentucky 11, Georgia Tech 14, Arkansas, formerly in the top 3, dropped all the way down after getting swept this past weekend down to 16, Florida State 18, Virginia Tech 24, Virginia 25. So again, strong showing by the ACC, by the SEC as well. So it is not going to be easy sledding for South Carolina this year on the diamond. However, South Carolina off to a very good start. A lot of people were kind of curious to see, once these in-game decisions started to kick in, how Chad Holbrook was going to handle it. Continuing to shuffle some guys in and out of the lineup, trying to get a lot of people some playing time. Sean Carson, Connor Bright, TJ Costin, Bryson Selleck, Kyle Martin. These are all guys that have appeared, Dante Rosenberg behind the plate. These are all guys that have appeared in limited roles, in limited action, when just trying to get these guys playing time. I mean, these guys have shown that they have the talent and the ability in fall practice, and they are scratching and clawing for spots. Eric Payne in there as well at second base. So not quite settled in on a set, firm lineup here, but overall South Carolina doing good things, being aggressive on the base path. Here's a stat for you. Grayson Griner has 3 steals on the season. The big 6'5" catcher has 3 steals on the season. Is there anybody out there that would have said that Grayson Griner would have more than double the steals that Tanner English has? Tanner English, the center fielder, who is, by all intents and purposes, one of the fastest players in college football. I don't know if I would have been able to say that. Stay with us on the other side of this break. We'll get into a little bit of Chad Holbrook postgame on Carolina CrowLine.
Black and garnet is all you see. Pride and ambition and Gamecock traditions, yeah, we're all one big family. Carolina, sweet Carolina, yeah, I'm proud of where I'm from.
Welcome back into the Carolina CrowLine. Glad to have you with us on this edition of the program. We just got done talking about South Carolina and Clemson, the big game series over the weekend. Carolina takes 2 of 3. Carolina takes 2 of 3. 6-zip Friday, losing 6-3 at Fluor Field in Greenville, and then takes the series 8-0, shutting out Jack Leggett and the Clemson Tigers here at home at the Ray at Columbia in Columbia, South Carolina. Let's toss it out to Coach Chad Holbrook and let you hear his thoughts now being the head coach and taking his first 3-game set against the Clemson Tigers.
Year after the series victory versus Clemson this weekend. Coach Holbrook, if you'll please make an opening statement, and we'll open it up for questions.
Well, it was a great day for our team and our players. Our baseball program, Nolan Belcher was fantastic. Complete game, 7 punch-outs, no walks. I believe that gets him to 23 strikeouts and 1 walk on the year. It's incredible. Couldn't happen to a better kid that's been through a lot of difficult things since he's been here from an injury standpoint. And we contemplated taking him out there. He was about at his pitch count limit. We wanted him to go 110 or 115 max, but you know what that kid's been through and the work he's put in, we felt he deserved the opportunity to finish the game. Got some 2-out hits there in the 6th inning that kind of got us a little breathing room, and I know we had 2 errors, but we did make some pretty good defensive plays, and those errors didn't hurt us. So a great day for our team, and you know, Firth for Clemson was good. Their 3 starting pitchers, I think, are terrific, and Firth, Gossett, and Schmidt. And we were just lucky to kind of get that inning off to a good start on the Psycho reached on an error there, and that kind of gave us a little momentum in our dugout, I guess, and we were able to bunch some hits together. So a great win, unbelievable watching Nolan Belcher perform. It was special for me to see him be able to do that. He'll remember that start the rest of his life.
Chad, on Thursday you said after this weekend you know more about your team, so what do you know about your team now?
They wanted to win today. They were a little bit upset with themselves last night on the bus ride home, and I was glad that they were. I didn't really have to say anything to them yesterday after the bus ride home. And you know, sometimes when you come to the stadium, you can tell if a team's ready to go or not just based on, you know, if they're a little edgy or, you know, they're on the edge of their seat here at the pregame meal, and sometimes as a coach you just get a feeling. And after pregame meal today, I sat in my office and I said, I think we're ready to go today. And they were. They played great, and Nolan set the tone.
Chad, have you ever been a part of anything like Nolan's performance, considering everything that he has gone through?
Well, I mean, I've been around a few, you know, complete games in my day, but it's very special for him. It's special for me as his coach to see it, because I know what he's gone through. I know how hard he's worked to get back. I'm sure he at times probably questioned whether he would ever get back to where he was when he got here as a freshman. You know, and he's worked his tail off. He loves this program. He loves this university, and it means a lot to me as his coach to be able to watch him perform like he did today against Clemson.
Yeah. Chad, in the 6th there, how nice was it for you to see with 2 outs you guys be really decisive and assertive up there, which, like you said, you sort of want to see them do that, and they did. You got 2 outs there.
Well, we got a little momentum going, you know, and Firth is good, and we got a little momentum going there, and we were aggressive. That's what I wanted to see us today. If we'd swing the bats a little bit more aggressively. I didn't ask him to bunch some hits together. I just asked him to swing. I thought we were a little passive yesterday, and a lot of that, a lot of that goes to Schmidt, you know, the kid that pitched so well. But we can get the bat off our shoulder, and we got it off our shoulder today, especially during that inning, and got a little momentum going, and that was good to see.
Was it as easy for Nolan as it looked today? Had 2 runners on base twice, and I think every other inning he faced some minimal.
Well, I know he made it look easy. I never felt like it was easy. There's a couple years ago when I was coaching at North Carolina and Clemson. It was a long time ago. I think Coach Tanner was still at NC State. I just started. And I've seen Clemson score 13 or 14 runs in an inning, so I never felt safe. And I know y'all probably thought the game was over. I didn't, and that's out of respect I have for their program. I've seen them put some big innings together. But Nolan was terrific. He you know, when he's got that changeup going, he's tough. And he got away with a few mistakes. They just missed. They fouled back. And once he got, he made an adjustment there and then started pitching at the knees a little bit more. And it was just impressive performance by him.
Again, there's Coach Holberg right there, and just talking about kind of the long, tough road that Nolan Belcher has had to come back from. Again, not really seeing any serious pitching action since he's been a freshman because he has just been riddled with injuries coming off that Tommy John surgery. Really just taking a while to kind of get back and acclimate, get that arm right, get his pitch control and his pitch velocity back where it needs to be, and just being able to have sustained powerful outings. And again, Adam Westmoreland, I think, is kind of the secondary story, but Nolan Belcher, I think, overall is definitely the story of the weekend. And that's a good thing when Jordan Montgomery goes 8 shutout innings on a Friday, and he's not even the main story. Another thing I want to talk about and make note of and bring to your attention is I thought it was really great to see Joey Pancake and Grayson Griner actually string some hits together. And because these are two guys that I think when you look at them, these two big, powerful guys, Joey Pancake can drive the ball to all fields, just really been struggling. Of course, has had his hiccups in the field as well. A guy that, even though he's a true sophomore, has really pretty much kind of been under fire since he's shown up here at Columbia. Last year with the defensive problems, this year so far a few defensive hiccups. But let me tell you, when you've got Graham Psycho as your leadoff man, Chase Ferguson, Max Schrock, and then you've got LB Dantzler as your cleanup hitter, you need to have some protection for LB Dantzler, and that's the job of Joey Pancake. If Joey Pancake can't start to bring that batting average up and become a dangerous player at the plate, nobody is going to pitch to LB Dantzler all season long. They're just going to put him on base like a la Christian his name, Christian Walker, there he is. Just like Christian Walker, years past, you're just going to pitch around the dangerous hitter, and if Joey Pancake can get his bat turned around and put some pop in that bat, then he becomes massive protection for LB Dantzler. And you saw that exact thing on Sunday when they intentionally walked LB Dantzler. Joey Pancake gets on base, Grayson Griner gets on base, and then Connor Bright knocks everybody in with that big double. The Gamecocks putting up a 5 spot there in the 6th inning to really break that game wide open. Just a few quick notes overall on the weekend series. The 2 shutouts Friday and Sunday lowered the team ERA to 2.225 after 10 games. Gamecock pitchers have allowed 64 hits in 29 runs in 88 innings, 86 strikeouts in 88 innings with 23 walks. The walks not so good. A lot of that coming early in the season. South Carolina has really kept the walks down, especially with Belcher and Montgomery here lately. Overall, USC out-hit Clemson 23-17 in the 3 games. And South Carolina is going to be at home for a while, folks, so you'll have plenty of chances to see these guys down there at the Ray in Columbia. 2 game set with Ball State this week, Tuesday and Wednesday, if the weather holds up. 3-game tilt with Ryder over the weekend. And then the following week, a matchup against USC Upstate and Davidson. And then South Carolina jumps into the SEC schedule by going to another Columbia and starting a 3-game series up there with Columbia, Missouri. So that's going to wrap it up for baseball. A lot of good things coming this way. I don't really think South Carolina baseball is going to miss a beat here, but we'll see when conference play starts. Stick with us right here on the Carolina CrowLine, and we're going to mercifully, hopefully, bring a bow to this basketball season on the CrowLine.
Some nights I can't get to sleep. Some nights I can't stay asleep. With Unisom, I can do both.
Unisom sleep tabs are clinically proven to help you fall asleep 33% faster and keep you asleep longer, so you get a more restful night's sleep. Made with an ingredient not found in other leading sleep aids, Unisom sleep tabs are safe and non-habit forming. Just 1 pill takes the uncertainty out of bedtime, giving you the sleep you need.
So I wake up ready to go.
Unisom sleep tabs. Fall asleep faster. Sleep longer.
At Hotels.com, we've got thousands of deals for every occasion. And to celebrate spring, we've got low prices on your favorite getaways. But what could we call such a fantastic sale? The I'm so happy it's finally spring I could dance sale? The man I love a quick weekend getaway sale? The grab the camera because it's family vacation time sale? How about just the spring sale? That about sums it up.
Now through April 1st, save up to 30% on your favorite destinations. Book now only at Hotels.com, finding you the perfect place at the perfect price.
Don't you just hate paying for things you don't need? Man, I do. And that's why I'm here to tell you about PennyBackup.com. We all know about those big companies that allow us to back up computer files and data to a safe place on the web, and that's great. But what makes me crazy is that they make me pay for gigabytes of storage that I don't need. PennyBackup.com is here to the rescue with the same features, the same data protection, the same services, but you pay only 8.9 cents for every gigabyte used. Heck, that's less than a dime per gigabyte. PennyBackup.com continually backs up your data and files, and if your computer gets stepped on by an elephant or your hard drive crashes, you'll be able to download all of your important data to a new computer immediately. And PennyBackup.com is as safe as the other guys. It just costs a lot less at 8.9 cents per gigabyte. Want more proof? Go to PennyBackup.com for a free 30-day trial and see for yourself. See how much money you'll save for no loss of service or security. It's PennyBackup.com.
The Southeastern Conference has established the most outstanding college football tradition in the country. The 14 member institutions have combined for an unprecedented 459 bowl appearances. Key to the success of SEC football is support of the many loyal fans who have helped the conference lead the nation in total attendance for 29 consecutive years. The SEC salutes the more than 6.5 million fans who will attend a game at an SEC stadium this year.
All right, welcome back to the Carolina CrowLine. Getting ready to jump onto the hardwood now with South Carolina basketball, and it has been a long, trying, depressing, I guess in some cases, especially once we got into conference play. Again, the story, I think the snapshot of the year was success early in the season, but when it came time to the tough tests, St. John's, Clemson, even Elon apparently was a tough test. South Carolina struggled. Early in conference play, South Carolina was definitely in the games. I mean, just looking at the schedule, lost by 2 to Mississippi State, lost by 3 to Auburn. You jump on LSU in overtime out there in Baton Rouge. You drop a close one to Vanderbilt by 6, and which really just kind of got out, it's closer than what the score represented because they pulled away with foul shots late. You were up by as many as 16 points up there in Columbia against a 22nd ranked Missouri squad, and you just come out in the second half and lay a total egg. You trounce Arkansas by almost 25 points, and then you get shellacked at Florida by, again, 30 points, and then it just seems to be all downhill from there. Since January 30th, South Carolina has only won one conference game, and that was at the end of February against Ole Miss. 2 games remain at home against Mississippi State, and then going back up to Nashville to face Vanderbilt. South Carolina dropped one to Missouri at home, and they went out to Texas A&M and tied at the half at 32, all knotted up, but then South Carolina just came out and just got outworked by Texas A&M. Missouri, South Carolina was hanging with Missouri at home, and again, just the same story. You just come out from the second half, and just the cold shooting. South Carolina right now doesn't have the inside presence to go bang down low with the big boys. I'm sorry, Michael Carrera has a lot of energy, but he gets his shot swatted out to half court routinely over and over and over again, and there's nothing really that he can say or do about that. He's just not big enough. So South Carolina is looking for that big man that's going to be a factor down the road. They thought Carlton Geathers was going to be that guy until he had a meniscus tear in his kneecap. He's been out for the season, probably going to take a medical red shirt if possible, if he qualifies for that. But he was the guy that you were going to look to be the beef down low. And without him, South Carolina has really struggled. They just kind of pass the ball along the perimeter. They might throw it inside or two once or twice. They don't get a good look inside, and then they're forced to take a 3-point shot late in the shot clock. South Carolina doesn't have the people that can be dangerous in transition. You say, well, what about Bruce Ellington? What about Eric Smith? What about Brenton Williams? And they flash speed in transition at times, but overall, right now, South Carolina is that half-court team that's going to bring the ball down, try to take up as much clock as possible to keep it close, and pass the ball around and make that defense shift until they get a good look. The problem with that is South Carolina has not been getting very many good looks. The stats are good for some of the guys, but overall just the quality of shot is not good, and when you get your shot swatted down low or you just throw up some half off balance behind your shoulder shot because you can't back your defender down and post up effectively, it's just not going to work. And those are the things that Frank Martin has had to deal with all year. And you've heard Frank Martin say, we're not going to make excuses for who's not here in our program. And you know who he's talking about. He's talking about DeMontre Harris, who transferred to Florida. He's talking about Anthony Gill, who transferred up to Virginia. You're talking about Ramon Galloway, who was encouraged to leave the team and went up to LaSalle. So that's almost a Murphy Holloway, again, who sat out a year on the bench and just occupied a seat on the bench before going back to Ole Miss. So that's basically a starting five right there, and you're basically starting a bunch of your sub players, your second off the bench type guys, and it's just been a struggle trying to get Kachinas, Chatkavicius, get those guys to be in the right spot at the right time, just to get Chatkavicius to run up the floor 3 and 4 times. Frank Martin in a row has talked about how that's been a chore. So I'm going to toss it out to Coach Frank Martin, and you can just hear it from the man himself after that game against Texas A&M, where South Carolina comes out in the second half and just gets run right out of the gym. Here's Coach.
All
right, maybe there's not Coach. So an issue there with the audio. I'm going to work with that to see if we can possibly bring that back up. But just like I said, more of the same over and over and over again. You know, I sound like a broken record at this point in the season. Help is on the way. Sindarius Thornwell is a big-time player out of Lancaster, a 4-star guy. I guarantee you he's going to come onto the floor next year and probably be your best player just coming straight out of high school. And that sounds like an amazing thing to say, but right now he's probably going to come in and be the most dangerous man coming off the bench for South Carolina next year. I guarantee you he's going to walk in and day one be a starter here at the University of South Carolina, and that's just the way it is. You know, there's no fault of his own. There's no one to blame necessarily. Maybe you could put the blame on Darren Horn, but overall, South Carolina just the cupboard's bare, people, and Frank Martin is coaching his tail off and really trying to be that effective leader, because right now he's trying to establish a mindset, a tradition, because the only person that's really going to be leaving this program that we know of for sure is Lakeem Jackson, because he is a senior. So everybody else is going to be on that bench next year for better or for worse. And so it's up to South Carolina and Frank Martin and his coaching staff to get the mind right of these guys and make sure that they're ready to work. They've got that strong defensive work ethic. They're not going to be able to get by teams on talent in the near future, so it's going to be important for South Carolina to go ahead and outwork their opponent. And right now, they're working. They just seem to run out of gas. I mean, when you take a look at the stats against Texas A&M, 32 points in the first half, then you let Texas A&M rattle off 42 points in the second half to your 24, and that's just not going to get it done. Michael Carrera, 16 points, 9 rebounds, almost a double-double again. Bruce Ellington, 10 points. Lakeem Jackson, I mean, if you just watch Lakeem Jackson and just the shots he takes and he just throws those things up, for somebody with all the athleticism in the world, I'm surprised and somewhat amazed that he's just not a better shooter than what he needs to be right now. And what else can you say about these guys? I mean, R.J. Slauson, he's trying 14 minutes, 3 points. Damian Leonard is a guy that I think really is struggling right now to create a shot for himself off the dribble. Right now, he's just that catch and shoot type of long-range threat. He's a guy that's going to have to get in the gym and continue to work on his game. A former 4-star recruit J.L. Mann, I believe, here in South Carolina. But right now, he's just a catch-and-shoot type guy, a J.J. Redick type guy. Even J.J., if you think back to his Duke days, was able to cause some sort of defensive breakdown with his ability to create a shot for himself and drive the lane. Right now, Damian Lillard does not have that. Brent Williams is a guy that can create some defensive matchups, but he doesn't seem to get on the floor very much. Only 7 minutes and 9 points. You say 9 points in 7 minutes, that's over a point a minute. Why isn't he on the floor more? And just for whatever reason, Frank Martin, you've heard him talk about it in the past. If you don't practice well, then you're not going to be a guy that gets on the court. And that's just the way it is. And apparently he's not doing the kinds of things that he needs to do right now to make sure that he gets that time on the basketball court for whatever reason. So, again, South Carolina, I think there are winnable games on the schedule. I think South Carolina can go to host Mississippi State and be successful. And I think that would be a great boost for the basketball team to be able to at least experience some success late in the season. You take a look at a team like Mississippi State. I believe Mississippi State only has 7 players on scholarship right now. That was a team that was picked below South Carolina preseason. And they're below South Carolina right now. Actually, 3-13 is the conference record of South Carolina, Auburn, and Mississippi State. But South Carolina has more wins under their belt. Unfortunately, they have clinched a losing season for the 3rd straight season in a row. But Mississippi State comes to Colonial Life Arena March 6th at 7 p.m. I think that's an opportunity for South Carolina to experience a little bit of success because, let's face it, when they go up to Vanderbilt on March 9th to close out the season at 1:30 p.m., odds aren't great that they're going to be able to make that a game. South Carolina has only won one game on the road all year, and that was the 3rd conference game of the year, that 82-73 overtime victory against LSU, a team that has been struggling in its own right. South Carolina might be able to jump up and experience some second-round success in the SEC tournament starting next week. It looks like South Carolina is going to be matched up against Mississippi State or Auburn in their opening round matchup, but after that, it's going to be tough sledding for the Gamecocks. And Frank Martin, you've heard the words. He says all the right things. He looks like a guy that's very, very determined to do what he needs to do to be successful here at the University of South Carolina. He said the things like, if I thought this was a sprint, I never would have come here. I knew it was a marathon. I'm not going to leave early before my job is done. They hired me to come and turn this program around and win basketball games. And I think this is the man for the job. It's just going to take a little bit of time. Let's face it, Darren Horn did not do us any favors. Stick with us right here on the Carolina CrowLine as we come back from the other side of this short break. All right, we're back here on the Carolina CrowLine, winding down. I'm sure you're glad, mercifully, that the basketball talk has come to an end for this segment of the program. That's kind of just the depressing part of the program. But it's about to turn around because we are joined by CRM executive producer Jon Rawl, and he's going to talk to y'all a little bit out there about what we've got. Believe it or not, it gets better than the Carolina CrowLine, people. It is just not a one-man show. We've got sports all across the South in the ACC and the SEC. So I'm going to kick it out to our executive producer, Jon Rawl, and he's going to talk to you for just a minute.
Tyler, I'm actually here with you this week in person, in the flesh, and great to be with you and all the great work that you've done. We're very proud of the Carolina CrowLine, one of our early shows on the CRM Sports Network, and we've come a long way since 2008, I believe is when this show launched, and just very, very excited about what we've done and what we've got coming up. So thank you to you, and I'm here representing the entire CRM Sports Network, which has more than 19 radio programs similar to the Carolina CrowLine that we do for, I won't say every, now that we've got 14 members, but most of the SEC schools we have shows that we do just like the Carolina CrowLine for, and then we do a couple of the ACC schools like Clemson, Florida State, Georgia Tech, and we do a show for the Citadel Bulldogs that I get to host, and we also do shows for Southern Miss and Conference USA, and in the last year, we added a new show for Texas A&M called the Maroon and White Report, so we have that for the SEC newcomer. And trying to get a new show for Mizzou lined up for the fall that should be exciting, but always got stuff happening. And if we got people like you, Tyler, out there doing it, then these shows will go off without a hitch.
Well, I appreciate the sound of that. Of course, I haven't been here since the inception of the Carolina CrowLine, but I'm just trying to pull my weight and do my part here.
But you got here as quick as you could.
That's right. You know, this is what is there else to say when you get a chance to talk about what you just naturally love and would be talking about anyway?
Well, we brought you on about this time last year or something like that, or 2 years now, and I would say Carolina sports have blossomed under your tutelage, so pretty good.
I think there is a connection there, if I'm going to be honest. We have
2 11-win seasons.
That's right, and that never happened before I came rolling around here.
Yeah, we won't talk about basketball. Baseball, not bad. So
that's right.
Yeah, you're doing all right. I don't know how the equestrian team's doing these days. But,
Well, funny you should mention that, because briefly I will just say that South Carolina has taken the head-to-head college sport, I guess, matchup against Clemson for the year. It kind of ends with baseball and starts with football, and then you have the rest of those winter sports. So South Carolina has won, I guess, the season series in all collegiate sports against Clemson again in a row since 2006. Clemson has not been able to outdo South Carolina across the collegiate sport board here. So we're proud of that, and maybe that's something that your Clemson affiliate might be able to bring up and answer sometime down the road.
Tune in to Lawton Swan, the host of the Clemson Hotline show, and I'm sure he'll be happy to talk about that feat for the Gamecocks. But, yeah, in addition to the baseball win this past weekend in Columbia, Carolina beat Clemson, and you may have already brought this up, on the tennis court.
That's right. That's right. That's one of those things, one of the head-to-head matchup. Men's tennis this weekend, South Carolina was victorious. So, again, and another thing is when you talk about these sort of things, the facility improvements have just been night and day, and the tennis courts are one of those things. Women's softball is getting ready to cut the rope on their brand-new stadium here in just a few weeks, and there are a lot of changes coming. The indoor practice facility, the greenery that's going to be going around the stadium after they rip out that parking lot. So a lot of good changes here at the University of South Carolina, and hopefully a lot of good changes on CRM Sports when you guys go ahead and add more sports across the South. So
yeah, and the reason I'm on here is to shamelessly promote the fact that we have all of these shows. And if you're a Gamecock fan, obviously you enjoy this show, but maybe you want to spy and listen in on some of our enemy opponents.
That's right, and of course, look no further than Lawton Swan on the Clemson Hotline.
Is Clemson really an enemy, though? Are they really much of a foe for Carolina these days?
Keep your enemies close. That's what I like to say. You just keep your friends close.
I mean, Alabama, I thought, was like Carolina's arch rival these days.
Well, you know, we got to actually get a chance to play Alabama before we can call them a rival. 2010 was pretty good for the Alabama rivalry.
Yeah, what a win that was. But yeah, we have shows for, like I said, most every SEC school. So you can literally, if you're tired of listening to your local sports station, you can log on to crmsports.com right now and get the link to every one of the shows that we do, including this show, Carolina CrowLine, you can go into iTunes and search for CRM Sports, and every show we do will pop up there. You can click on the subscribe button, and they're all free. It's a great way to keep up. Or if you're fortunate to live in an area that carries multiple shows, you can catch these shows like Carolina CrowLine on many of our radio affiliates across the Southeast. So we're all about Southern sports, and the difference we have versus everybody else out there, we focus in with each show on a specific college, and you can really get a great dose of information for your favorite school. Or if you want a good laugh, go listen into the enemy shows.
That's right. So just picture a Missouri version of the Carolina CrowLine, or a Southern Miss version of the Carolina CrowLine, or something like that.
Yeah, they're all out there. They're all good. We've had a great lineup of shows since our inception in 2005. Of course, we started in Oxford, Mississippi, home of Ole Miss. We started in 2005 with the beginning of the mighty Ed Orgeron experiment. And our first show, Hotty Toddy Hotline, in our first year got on 8 radio stations. We got some advertisers lined up, and we realized after you had a 3-8 football season that year, my God, what could you do if you had like Georgia, Alabama, Auburn, even South Carolina, and states that had a lot more people and more money and frankly more success on the football field. So from that original Hotty Toddy Hotline show, we've grown this concept now to be on all these shows for all these schools, and a lot of our schools have done really well these last few years, and we're very excited about that. But again, if you're a sports fan, wouldn't you rather listen to an hour of college football talk, even if it's for a team you don't like, versus coming over here today, I had to listen to one of the national programs talking about hockey. I mean, who cares about hockey? I care about college sports, even if it is Clemson. You know, you want to hear them talk about that. I'd rather hear that than talking about whoever it is the team that's doing real well in hockey, the Blackhawks.
The Blackhawks of Chicago.
I don't even like hockey, and I definitely don't like them when they try to go on strike. You know,
they don't even like hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't even play it all that much anymore.
Yeah, that's right. You're not going to have any Carolina football player go on strike. At least I don't think they can go on strike.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are wanting Jadeveon Clowney to think he should go on strike this year.
Oh, please.
That's one of the more ridiculous things I think I've ever heard. But Jon Rawl, thank you for coming out. Please, you're welcome anytime to talk Carolina sports.
Great to be here.
Appreciate it. Well, stick with us on this edition of the CrowLine. Spring practice, depth chart coming up next. Where are going to be the battles this spring right here on the Carolina CrowLine?
Climb. Boss man can shove that overtime up his can. All I wanna do is put a drink in my hand. To fill it up, I'll throw it down.
That's the sound of Selsun Science wiping out dandruff. Introducing Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Feel it get to the root of dandruff and gently whisk scalp irritation away with soothing vitamins B5, E, and essential oils. Now when you style your hair, it feels oh so good to the touch. New Selsun Blue Sensitive Scalp. Science for your scalp. Use as directed.
If you depend on prescription opioid painkillers or heroin to get through each day, you may ask yourself, how did I get here? Withdrawal and rehab seem like scary and difficult roads, but there is a different way. I know because I was just like you and I found it at turntohelpnow.com. At turntohelpnow.com, I learned about different ways to get help, including those in a private setting without the need for daily visits. Find your courage and go to turntohelpnow.com today.
This is a referral service. Calls will be routed to an independent referral insurance agency.
Do you know the number one cause of bankruptcy? No, it's not losing your job or running up credit card debt. It's not even divorce. It's medical costs. If you and your family don't have health insurance, just one serious illness or accident could be financially devastating. But now there's good news, really good news. A health insurance hotline has been established to provide health insurance for all Americans, even uninsured Americans with pre-existing conditions. Now anyone can get health insurance even if you have a pre-existing medical condition. I repeat, now anyone can get health insurance coverage. Call now for a free no-obligation quote on affordable health plans available to you. Again, this is a free hotline for anyone, even if you have pre-existing conditions. Protect you and your family from sudden unexpected medical costs. Call the free health insurance hotline right now at 1-800-838-5562. That's 1-800-838-5562. Call 1-800-838-5562.
All right. Closing down the Carolina CrowLine, this is the final segment of the program. We got some time to squeeze in a little football here on the Carolina CrowLine. Spring practice starts this week. They're going to have 2 practices. It's called the acclimation practices. They're going to be practicing in no shoulder pads, just athletic gear, cleats, helmets, that's it. Just trying to get everybody back together again, kind of like an old reunion, run around on the field a little bit, and then that's basically going to be it. The spring depth chart has been released. I think there are a couple things, areas to focus on the depth chart during spring practice. Of course, you're going to have people like Connor Shaw not be practicing, Bruce Ellington not be practicing as he's away with the basketball team. Demir Bird won't be practicing too much, in my opinion. He'll be back and forth with the track team. Mike Matulis is rehabbing an injury. Of course, I mentioned Connor Shaw. I would be amazed if Jadeveon Clowney took too many snaps here over spring practice. I think Chaz Sutton, who's going to be sliding into Devin Taylor's position at that opposite defensive end spot, I don't really see him getting a lot of time on the field. Cedric Cooper, who is listed as the starter at will linebacker, obviously is rehabbing his injury. He won't be participating in spring practice. And there are 2 defensive backs, Rico McWilliams and TJ Gurley, who are out with torn ACLs as well that are rehabbing. I think when you take a look at this depth chart, some things do jump out at you. The main thing that jumps out at me right now, of course, is going to be the kind of emergence of Dylan Thompson. He's going to be the guy getting all the reps. Right now, Brendan Nosovich, again, the redshirt freshman, now he's ready to make a name for himself and try to do some damage and put some pressure on Connor Shaw and Dylan Thompson. He's going to be getting a lot of reps over spring practice, so it'll be great to see how he has kind of absorbed the offense and what kind of talent that he's bringing to the program. I think right now when you take a look at running back, Mike Davis listed the starter. Of course, we all know about Brandon Wilds. He will be pushing Mike Davis. I think that will be one battle to watch over spring practice between Mike Davis and Brandon Wilds. I'm sure both of those guys will get on the field, but who's going to be the guy that's out there when the game begins? That defensive tackle spot, is it going to be J.T. Surratt? Is it going to be Phillip Dukes? Is it going to be Gerald Dixon Jr.? Or can somebody like a Deion Green sneak in there? Deion Green, a guy who has a lot of talent but has suffered through a handful of injuries since his time on campus has started. So who's going to be that guy, that fourth guy who kind of comes in and anchors that defensive line? Of course, the linebacking core is completely new. Everybody is gone. Mike linebacker, Will linebacker, spur position, everybody is gone. They have left the program. They were out of eligibility. So Marquise Roberts right now is going to be the guy. Kelvin Rainey has moved over from tight end to be second on the 2 deep there at Will linebacker for the spring. How do those guys acclimate to the position? Or will they leave that question mark open for somebody who's a freshman that's coming in the fall, like a Lorenz Bryant? Spur position, Sherrod Golightly, Jordan Diggs. Who's going to be the guy to step up there? Middle linebacker, looks like it's K'Wan Lewis's job to lose. TJ Holloman, of course, is going to be pushing him. K'Wan Lewis is a former 4-star linebacker out of the New England area. And the kicker is gone. Who is it going to be? Is it going to be Landon Ard, the walk-on kicker out of Rock Hill, or is it going to be Nick St. Germain, the guy who got offered a scholarship, who kicked on the same team as Mike Davis out there in Georgia? I think both of those guys, if you watch their YouTube highlight videos, I think both of those guys, kickoff and place kicking, those 2 guys are going to be having a very intense battle over the spring. I think the main thing right now is just to be able to establish a little bit of consistency in the place kicking. We haven't seen that a lot really since Ryan Suckup left. So again, we are giving scholarships to kickers these days, and can that scholarship kicker knock off that walk-on? That's going to be something to watch as well. Of course, we're integrating some new guys in the defensive backfield. Jimmy Legree is going to be there. Victor Hampton is going to be there. And Bryson Williams. Kadietrix Marcus, introduce yourself at the free safety spot. It'll be a battle between him, Chaz Elder, and TJ Gurley once he gets himself back healthy coming off that knee injury. So a lot of battles to watch going into the spring. Things are not settled by any means. And then don't forget about the fall when those bright-eyed, bushy-tailed freshmen begin to come on campus, some highly touted men. And will Shaq Rowland start to emerge? And another guy that shares a Jeffrey name, Shamir Jeffrey, really looking for those two guys to step up and assert themselves in spring ball as well. I'm Tyler Garrett. This is the Carolina CrowLine. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week with another live edition right here on Spreecast. Listen to that next Monday. Go Cox.